Hello everyone, welcome to this video presentation. My name is Xiang from Western Senior University. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about OA struggle from a more international and global perspective. I've been studying the diversity of OA practices across the globe with a focus of China. I also have practically engaged with both English and Chinese language publishing systems as a researcher, OA advocate, author, reviewer, and previously as a publisher. So this presentation is based on my experience with both the English and Chinese journal systems, and I will introduce some practices of scholarly publishing and OA in China particularly, and the problems related to OA I found from my experience. I will also discuss what we mean by OA in a global and diverse context, and how to deal with the OA struggle more broadly and globally rather than within the English journal publishing system only. All these are big issues, but in this presentation, I would like to only share my experience and some thoughts, and hopefully it will start some conversations in the ICA community. I will start with a quick overview of global academic publishing system in relation to China. The international refereed English language journal system has long been dominant in the scholarly publishing world. China has played an important role in this system. China is the largest or second largest contributor of scientific articles in these English journals. And in the open access age, China contributes largely to the total revenues of article processing charges, which is the crucial revenue source to keep the OA publishing system sustainable financially. And China has become a big market not only for global commercial publishers, subscription-based publishers, but also for the gold and hybrid OA publishers. In 2015, for example, Chinese authors contributed over 70 million US dollars to APCs for the OA journals. Apart from this international journal system in English, almost every scholar in China also publishes with its domestic Chinese language academic publishing system. Well, this is a huge system as well. There are about 6,000 journals and over 1.5 million articles published every year. Years ago, I published a research article and argued that Chinese academics publish in English mostly driven by academic evaluation, but they communicate research more widely and effectively in their native languages and in the domestic Chinese journals. Well, the Western people and Western academics perhaps know the Chinese language publishing system mostly from some frauds or scandals, and there is thus a widespread bias that Chinese journals are usually trash journals. However, this is misleading, and this neglects many good publications and good journals that is currently published in China. So here I would like to just very briefly show you what the Chinese language journals look like and how they might operate differently before I move to further discussion on a global approach to OA struggle. It's also for your information and curiosity, given many of the ICA people might not be very familiar with it. I draw on my recent project that examines the models and OA practices and operations and many aspects of the leading Chinese journals. By the term leading, I mean that they are highly ranked journals. They are indexed by CSSCI and China's core journal list. So both are very important rankings for Chinese journals. Well, I have to say that I'm not a fan of journal ranking. I know it's very debatable, but in this context, it would be a very straightforward way to just show you some good and representative journals in China. Well, in this project, we built a database of thousands of journals in different disciplines. But for this presentation, I would select 29 leading and highly ranked journals, Chinese journals, in the field of communication studies. Well, in China, they usually call it journalism, publishing, and communication studies. So there are 29 journals indexed by both CSSCI and China's core journal index. Okay, here is the full list of the 29 journals I'm talking about. Our project is still work in progress, so I would like to just show you our data set here. As you can see that among the 29 leading Chinese journals in communication studies, 7 of them are completely open access, whose content is available everywhere in their website or other platforms. And 9 of them are made open access through the Chinese National Social Science Journal database. So you must access their content freely in that platform. And that platform is operated by the Chinese Academy of Social Science. It is a national level OA initiative. And those journals also received actual funding and subsidies. And there are 2 journals who are both OA themselves and also included in the database. So totally 14 of 29 journals are open access, which is actually a very high level, more than nearly 50% of the leading journals are open access in China in communication studies. And also, you can see that most of the OA journals are published by universities, learned societies, or professional or academic associations, or have these institutions as co-publishers. In other words, these academic institutions or associations are the leaders and major innovators in OA in China. It is true in communication studies and also in other disciplines in our research project. By contrast, most non-OA or closed journals are published by commercial publishers or trade publishers or some local newspaper publishing groups. So we can see that the business models of the publishers and actual government funding or subsidies and the support from national level OA platforms are crucial for open access journals in China. Now let's look at the citation performances of these journals. It is believed that OA journals have the citation advantage. The sample journals here also show such an advantage. Most of them have higher than average impact factors. And also they have very good total numbers of citations. By the way, the impact factor here is not what we are familiar with internationally. It is a Chinese system. I just showed you a snapshot of the different OA practices of Chinese journals. I take the leading communication studies journals as an example. Now I'm going to make 3 key points to conclude my presentation. Firstly, when we talk about OA in a global and diverse context, in my view, it means global access to global scholarship. It means to use a global approach for developing a diverse and inclusive OA system. Secondly, we should increase two-way communication or 2 types of access. For example, in relation to China, it means both the access for the Chinese academics to the international English publications and the access for international scholars to know more about the knowledge and the scholarship published in the Chinese journals. Both are important. This also applies to other non-English speaking publishing systems. Lastly, the pandemic and the COVID-19 crisis tell us that we are connected and interdependent to each other. It also tells us that open communication across the boundaries of languages, cultures, and systems is extremely important, not only to deal with the crisis, but also the recovery and the future building. The value of open access should be more recognized in the post-COVID-19 world than before. When we deal with the struggle of open access and when we develop the academic publishing system for future, I believe openness, diversity, and inclusiveness should be the key underpinning principles for us. Thank you very much.